Springfield Farm, also known as the Garden of Eden, and part of the Conagajig Manor. This farm once went 11,000 acres from the banks of the Potomac River to the city park in Hagerstown. The tenant house, the building you see before you, depicts life during the late 1800s and early 1900s. The farm hands that tended to everything would stay in this building. We are hoping to move the town museum into this location, offering a bigger walking tour of the building and museum and town history. As we stroll down the lane, we get to the spring house. Built between 1721 and 1755 by Lord Baltimore, as he carved out these acres for himself and referred to it as his Garden of Eden. Colonel Cressup defended the spring house and the distillery building that's right next door. During the Indian and fur trades, both of these buildings were heavily used because of the whiskey products and the fresh flowing water. Colonel Cressup had a few skirmishes with local Indian tribes as he was at this location. Still inside the distillery are the cutouts where the rifles would stick out the building to defend it against Indian attacks that were quite common in this area during the late 1700s. The slave quarters, built in the early 1800s, housed the family as Otho Holland Williams' personal friends and caretakers for his land. Inside the building, you can still see some of the furnishings that were used back in those days. The mansion house, the middle, was built in 1765 by George Ross. He had married Otho Holland Williams' eldest sister and had moved the family into the home with him. During his marriage to Otho's sister, they birthed 2 children before George Ross had passed away. Otho had bought the house in 1780s. He used the home as his vacation home while he was at the port of Baltimore. He ended up falling ill and having to travel to Barbados by doctor's orders. When he had returned from Barbados to Virginia, Otho Holland Williams had passed away. He had never really truly actually lived in the home, but his sons did. Edward, becoming quite the party guy, had people from Betsy the Belle of Baltimore to George Washington as his personal guest in the home. In the mid-1800s, the brick section here on the left was added into the mansion house. During the retreat of Gettysburg, this was used as General Robert E. Lee's headquarters. His colonels, majors, captains, and all those of rank that were injured during the Battle of Gettysburg that were surviving were brought here to be operated on by his personal surgeons. As you see from the home on this angle, looking down at it, it still stands today exactly like it did when it was built. Even has the original gatekeeper's cottage right here to our right, where you would be greeted and proceeded to go towards the house to be announced as a guest. Right now, the town of Williamsport has an opportunity in front of them, with your help, to possibly be able to purchase this land, creating a year-round attraction for Washington County, the state of Maryland, and the town of Williamsport. There is so much history on this property, dating back to our Revolutionary Wars, the French and Indian War, the War of 1812, the Civil War, and the town of Williamsport itself. With your help, the history can be taught to our youth and field trips can begin. Already the barn is used for weddings and anniversaries and birthdays. Soon it can be used for field trips, day tours, gift shops, and so much more. We are only limited by our imaginations. 255 years of history can last for another 255 years.